Good morning, DE Psych. Um, Playing one of my favorite songs, little bit mellower by Mark Cohn, called Walking in Memphis. Reminds me a lot of my high school years, and listening to the song with my best friend. So, thought I'd play you this on this lovely Friday. We are starting a brand new unit. Hopefully testing went well. My goal is to get those readers' notebooks graded and then work on your tests. I've had a lot of questions that hopefully I'll be able to answer today in regards to how many more readers' notebooks, what are we doing final-wise, what does that even look like? So I'm going to answer some of those questions today. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get started. Taking a look at our Schoology here. So I'm just going to jump into first hour. And what I'm going to show you is my page. So you're not going to see some of this stuff until I open it for you. But you will have a brand new reader's notebook that is going to be opened for you. And obviously the unit organizer for that. So we are starting on a new unit, and we're going to be doing a reader's notebook on personality and social psychology. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how much of social psychology we're going to get through. We may only get through personality, but the social psychology reader's notebook is assigned, so that won't change. Here's the deal. You'll each have 3 reader's notebooks that are full graded and 1 reader's notebook that is completion graded. So if you've already had a completion graded reader's notebook, that means you know that the remainder of your 3 reader's notebooks are going to be full graded. So what I will be doing is basically treating the personality reader's notebook as 1 reader's notebook, and then the social psychology one as a second or as another reader's notebook. If you have had 2 reader's notebooks graded, then full graded, then you know that this one here, personality and social psychology, one will be a full grade and one will be a completion grade. Okay, so that's kind of how it's going to go. You can email me and find out, where you're at, but you could also look on your Power School and figure out which ones of our 2 readers' notebooks from our past have been full graded and which ones have been completion graded. Okay, so take a look at that. If you look at these readers' notebooks, because I know that you're probably sitting there thinking that this sounds like a lot to you, you can see that in our unit organizer, this is a lot different than the other reader's notebooks that we've had in the past. These are open-ended reader's notebooks. We've done one other open-ended reader's notebook. So for the personality chapter, you're writing 4 questions. Doesn't matter what sections, okay? And for the social psych reader's notebook, you're writing 4 questions and answers, all right? So again, not as heavy in its workload. So it may have scared you to know that there's 2 separate readers' notebooks that you've just now officially been assigned. This isn't as intimidating, okay? 4 from the personality chapter, 4 from the social psych chapter. All right, so hopefully that answers some questions in regards to the readers' notebooks. The next thing that I want to kind of put your mind at ease, and I will not open until Monday, is the final. You are going to have a final. Technically, the essay test that you just wrote for our thinking, language, and intelligence unit is the last of its kind. You are going to have a final. The final that I'm going to assign you guys is going to be a movie analysis. I will have a list of movies for you on Monday. I'll talk a little bit more about the movies you can choose from and where you can find them. But basically, you are going to be doing a movie analysis from a psychology lens as your final. And you can see the due dates here. Seniors, yours is due on May 21st, on Thursday, May 21st, and juniors, yours is due on our last day. So that's basically it. All right. If you have further questions, be sure to email me in regards to your questions. So let's get started for today's actual lesson now that I'm done doing all of that. And so we are starting personality today. The question being, how is personality shaped? So what we're going to start with is probably the long-awaited portion of psychology, in that we're going to look at Freud's theories over the next couple of days of class. So we'll start right here. Lecture and notes, introduction to the psychoanalytic ideas of personality. So you do want to pull out your notes, and let's go ahead and get started. I'm only going to go through about 7 slides today and introduce you to what we know as the structural theory of Freud's psychoanalysis theory on personality. All right. So this is personality according to the psychoanalytics. There are other schools of thought that talk about how we develop personality. This is the very first ever in regards to how our personalities are formed. Many psychologists don't use the psychoanalytic school of thought and how personalities are formed. So keep that in mind. A lot of what you're going to hear in this next few lectures, you're probably are going to think this is crazy. And that's why psychology oftentimes gets a bad name, is because people will only learn psychology from the psychoanalytic school of thought. And there's definitely a lot of crazy postulations within the psychoanalytic school of thought. I will also, though, expose you to the other schools of thought, such as the cognitive school of thought, what they say about personality development, the social cultural school of thought, what they say about personality development, and the humanist school of thought. Okay, but we're going to start off with the fun one, and that's the psychoanalytics. So we've seen this this model before of the iceberg. And when we last talked about it, we talked about it when we discussed memory mostly. That we have at the tip of the iceberg our conscious mind, then just below the waves of the ocean, we have the preconscious mind, and then below, where we have no idea how big this iceberg is, that's the unconscious mind. Well, this is known as Freud's topological theory. Now, Freud built on his topological theory. He built on that theory, and he created what we call the structural theory of personality. Okay. The topological theory was the structural theory of the mind and how it's set up in conscious, unconscious, and preconscious mind. The structural theory is the personality theory, that our personalities are made up of the id, the ego, and the superego. We'll get more into that in our next lecture, the id, the ego, and the superego. But today I want to talk to you about how Freud comes up with these theories, because as we get into these lectures, you're going to be like, what was he thinking? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's kind of look at Freud. We haven't really given him a lot of attention, even though we know about him. He was an Austrian, and he studied, really what he studied kind of makes sense why his ideas about personality are so out there, because what he studied was a population of people that we would probably diagnose today as having a severe diagnosis of some sort, such as having fugue states, losing your memory, having what we call psychosomatic pain, meaning pain that's unexplainable, but you experience that pain through the mind. And so Freud studied a population of people that had really paralysis with no medical explanation. And so a lot of his theories are going to be developed from a population of people that is not the norm. Okay. He concluded that his patients were experiencing these issues because of anxiety and issues, traumatic events maybe that had happened in their life, emotional issues that they've never dealt with, but they pushed into their unconscious mind. And that these unconscious thoughts are somehow coming up into the conscious mind or the preconscious mind as pain or paralysis. Okay, so knowing where Freud's theories come from is really important, because nowadays most psychologists would say, well, if you study a population of people that are not mentally well, you are going to get some very interesting results and ideas and what we call postulations, theories that they come up with. So remember, Freud studies his patients very differently than most other schools of thought. Freud uses psychoanalysis where, you lay the person on a couch and they just talk, and you are reading into what they talk and making questions based on what they say and kind of trying to dig deeper into the unconscious mind. He also used things like dream analysis. We've talked about that when we talked about sleep, the manifest content versus the latent content. He used hypnosis, which is the only school of thought that uses hypnosis, is the psychoanalytics. And of course, Freudian slips, which don't come very often. So you have to be really cognizant of those things because you can't actually set those things up to happen. You can set up somebody to do psychoanalysis. You can set up somebody to do hypnosis. You can ask people to remember their dreams. But Freudian slips are something you can't predict. His overall conclusion is that all of our behavior is motivated by our unconscious desires. That in our unconscious mind, we have these desires. And you guys we've seen that iceberg before. We have these desires that are violent, sexual. Even children have these desires, which lay in the unconscious mind, and they tend to try and come out. And a lot of times they try to come out, these desires come out in either acceptable ways that society thinks is okay to do, or they come out in unacceptable ways, and that gets people in trouble. So this was Freud's major postulation, based off of studying a not typical population of people. He concluded that our early childhood experiences are a critical time period of personality formation. And there's not a lot of psychologists that will disagree with this. Many psychologists will say things like, when you're a child and something happens for the very first time, it's very traumatic for you. You're feeling maybe some emotions for the first time that you've never felt before, or you are, having thoughts that you've never had before. And so that early childhood is a very critical time period of personality formation. And this is one of the areas that many psychologists will say, yeah, we kind of agree with that. Okay. Think about the first time you ever rode a kind of carnival ride, whether that be a roller coaster or even just the merry-go-round, how euphoric that may have made you feel, or scared that may have made you feel. And that experience may last with you. For some of you, you may be of the mindset of, I hated that feeling, and I don't go to places like Elitch's or Six Flags because I hated it. Okay. And that, of course, may format who you are as an adult later on. So that's what we're going to be talking about with Freud and his personality theory. On Monday, we are going to be doing a small activity about Freud's personality theory. So what I need you guys to do is I need you guys to pick 4 numbers. And I know it seems random. Right here it says pick 4 numbers, 1 through 7. It can include 1 or 7 or both. It doesn't matter. And what I want you to do is pick your numbers 1 through 7 and put them on a document. It'll make more sense on Monday what we're going to do with this document. Just write them out. 2, 4, 5, 7. That's it. All right. All right, guys. Goodness, I hope you guys have a great weekend. It's supposed to be really warm, like in the low 80s. So enjoy that, and we'll be talking to you soon, and I will be letting you know about this final. All right? Bye, guys.